Hello, so in this recording I'm going to teach you how to use the pattern option in Creo. So once you have the pattern option is in when you're creating a new part. So right now we have our part, and as you can see it's just a flat piece of whatever material you're going to be printing from. The pattern constraint is often useful in side plates to put screw holes in your plate if you need multiple holes. And so to use the pattern, first we're going to click extrude. I'm going to show how to use the pattern with a simple pattern of holes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our first hole. So say we want it to be centered half an inch, let's say an inch from each edge. So we're going to measure down to the center of the hole. And now we can draw our circle. Let's say we want our screw holes to be 1/4 of an inch in diameter. So we're going to type that in. I'm going to actually make it half an inch so that you can see it better. You can of course make it any size you need. Now I'm going to delete our measurements. So now we can see we have our circle. And with this circle, I know that we want many circles in a pattern, but for now we're just going to draw one, and we're going to click out of the extrude mode. We're going to make it be a hole because we want holes in our side plate, and then we're going to click check. Now that we have that extrusion, we can make it into a pattern. So if we select the hole extrusion that we just made and then go to pattern, if we click this, then it brings us into the pattern options. So for this, to make holes all the way down the side of the side plate, we can change it to direction. And direction means that it will make that pattern in a certain direction. So for direction, it needs to know certain things, such as what direction you want the pattern to go down. So I'm going to make the pattern go in this direction. So if we click this line, then it recognizes that as the direction of the pattern. And you can see it shows example holes there, and it's going, the arrow shows that it's making the pattern this way. We want the pattern to go down our side plate. So if we click this, then it'll flip it around the other direction. And then we can change this to be if we wanted 4 holes. And then you can see our 4 holes appearing, or we could have 6 holes, or however many holes you need. For now, I'm going to go with 6 holes. And then when it looks like what you want, then we click check, and you can see you now have a pattern. That is how to do the straight line pattern. Lots of times for side plates with Acrobatics and Tektronix, you'll want the little holes around the big hole, and that's also easy to do. So that pattern is going to be a pattern around an axis, which you can see we have one right here, but I'm going to create a new one just to make sure that it appears when we go to make our pattern. So now we have an axis right there, A7. And now I'm going to draw our first little hole. So I'm going to extrude, then click on there and enter into sketch mode. We can make our little hole, usually line it up with whichever parts you're using. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to pick a distance. We're going to go 0.5 inches from the center of the big hole. And now we can draw our little hole. So I'm going to make our little hole 1/4 of an inch in diameter. Then once you have your hole drawn and you're happy with it, we can exit out of the extrude mode. Oh, as you can see, we have to be careful when we're deleting our segments to make sure none of them are left behind. And if we click check, we can also make this into a hole and go the other direction. And now, to make it a pattern going around the hole, we select that extrusion, click the pattern option, and up here we're going to go to axis, and then we're going to select A7 over here. And as you can see, the default is 4 holes, 90 degrees around A7. If we wanted to do, let's say, 8 holes, then we'd make them 45 degrees apart, and we'd change this to 8. When you're happy with it, you can click the check button, and there's your hole. So those are the basic pattern functions that you'll probably need to be using this year. You can play around with them. There are many different things you can do with patterns. For example, you could make this group of holes, and then you could have made a pattern of all 9 of these holes all the way down here. However will make it easiest for what you want. So that is patterns of in an axis direction and in a straight line direction.